Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we extract the core strategy from the movements that are shaping our world.
Today, we've got a really interesting stack of sources.
Yeah, we're diving into the Dare to Share movement, or D2S.
Where?
It's this decades-long effort focused just relentlessly on mobilizing teenagers.
And the core idea we kept seeing is this belief that youth aren't just the future of a movement.
Right.
They're the necessary drivers for it right now.
Exactly. Their whole mission is to inspire and equip teenagers to share their faith in Jesus. And they have this really aggressive vision.
What is it?
Every teen, everywhere, hearing the gospel from a friend.
And that vision, it's so strategically timely.
How so?
Well, if you just look at the global landscape, the current youth generation is the largest in history, full stop.
The largest ever.
So if your whole goal is, mass mobilization for any cause, empowering this demographic,
Yeah.
it's not a side project.
It's the whole game.
It is the central, non-negotiable strategy. This deep dive is crucial because it basically gives you the playbook for how one organization has done this, how they've turned young believers into the primary messengers to their own peers.
Okay, so let's unpack that. The movement kicks off in 1991, founded by a guy named Greg Stier.
Right. And our sources say the early days were intense.
Intense how? We're talking about taking kids to shopping malls to practice sharing their faith with total strangers.
Wow.
Yeah, a very bold kind of confrontational approach.
Which reveals a very high-intensity boutique model at first, right? You're training a small group of super motivated people.
Sure, but that's hard to scale.
Exactly. It has inherent limits. And what's fascinating here is the strategic pivot that changed D2S from this small local ministry into a global movement.
And that pivot was catalyzed by a tragedy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Near their headquarters.
Precisely. The 1999 Columbine High School shooting. It happened right near the D2S headquarters in Colorado.
And that just changed everything.
It profoundly highlighted the urgent confusion and the desperate search for hope among teenagers. That event wasn't just an emotional trigger. It was the ultimate proof that waiting for young people to come to the message, it just wasn't working.
So what did he do?
Greg Stier resigned his pastorate and dedicated himself completely full-time to D2S.
So the immediate result was a strategic shift. They moved away from that mall evangelism model.
Correct. They realized they needed a system that allowed every teen to participate, not just the most fearless 5%.
So the strategy evolved.
It evolved into helping teens share Jesus in the style that fits them, and this is so critical for exponential growth.
Because you're not forcing them into one specific high-pressure mold.
Exactly. You empower students to be authentic witnesses to their existing friend groups. You leverage the organic relationships that are already there.
And that's how they scaled.
That move is why they scaled, yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately training millions of teens and youth leaders.
That makes perfect sense. Lower the barrier to entry and participation skyrockets. Okay, so that's the why. Let's get into the practical toolkit, the how.
Right.
If the core strategy is peer-to-peer, how do you actually equip a high schooler to turn a friendship into, a spiritual conversation?
This is where they get really structured and clear. They moved from abstract ideas to a really actionable process. It's called the cause circle framework.
The cause circle.
And it's summarized by 3 simple steps. PP.
Okay, PPP. Let's break that down. First P is pray.
Right. Consistently and passionately pray for friends who don't know Jesus.
Second P, pursue.
Be a genuine friend. Show you care. Include them. Live out your faith authentically.
And the third P.
Persuade. When the time is right, clearly and lovingly share the gospel message.
The genius of this model in a teen context seems to be that it starts with the relationship. It's not just about a script.
It has to. But this brings up a really important strategic question for us.
Which is?
If the end goal is persuade, how do you make sure the friendship doesn't feel manipulative or, transactional?
That's the critical tension, right?
Yeah.
What do the sources say about how they navigate that?
They focus heavily on authenticity in the training. The instruction is explicit. Pursue means living out your faith genuinely, not performing friendship as some kind of setup.
So the friendship has to be real first.
It has to be real first.
Right.
And then for the persuade step, they provide these very specific, easy-to-learn communication tools.
So they're not just saying, go share.
Not at all. They're giving them simple outlines, memory devices, things that reduce the fear of fumbling the message. It makes that last step accessible to, the average non-preachy teenager.
Reducing that fear is huge. And speaking of making it simple, They've really embraced technology.
Oh, absolutely. Beyond the framework, they developed a digital tool called the Life in 6 Words app.
And this is where the strategy really taps into modern media habits.
It's fascinating. The tool just perfectly addresses the Gen Z expectation for snackable, non-confrontational, mobile-first content.
So how does it work?
Well, the app helps teenagers share the gospel message using just 6 key words. It walks them through the story in an interactive format right on a phone screen.
Super concise, easily shareable, very low pressure.
Right. But here's the other brilliant part. The app lets students track their conversations.
Okay.
And it shows them a real-time map of where other teens are sharing their faith around the world.
So it gamifies it, in a way.
It makes it a shared adventure. It transforms what could be an isolating action, sharing your faith one-on-one, into a measurable collective mission.
That's smart. It counters that feeling of being alone or awkward in the mission.
Which is crucial for mobilizing this hyper-connected generation.
And to anchor all this at the local level, they push this idea of a gospel-advancing ministry.
Right, which might sound like jargon to you.
A little bit. What does that actually mean? What are the structural changes they recommend for a youth group?
It's the operational blueprint. It means fundamentally restructuring a youth ministry's calendar and budget.
So it's more than just a curriculum.
Much more. It's shifting resources so that discipleship and evangelism aren't separate tracks. They're fused. The mission is at the center of everything.
So that means teaching the PPP method every week.
Every week. Building a culture of prayer for friends and implementing regular, maybe monthly outreach to keep the momentum going year-round. It's the total opposite of a youth group that's just about pizza and fun.
That focus on year-round momentum, that brings us to their biggest mobilizing event, the Day of Global Youth Evangelism.
Formerly Dare to Share Live.
How did they take this year-round plan and turn it into one massive single-day global event?
The scale is really impressive, and it all hinges on their strategic use of asynchronous technology.
So it's held once a year, second Saturday of November.
Yep. But, crucially, it is not a live broadcast anymore. They use a free, on-demand video training model.
The on-demand format is the logistical genius here, isn't it? It just solves the nightmare of global time zones.
It solves everything. Groups, we're talking over 1,000 in recent years, download the training, which is available in English, Spanish, Portuguese.
And they do it locally, on their own schedule.
Exactly. The day is structured with morning training sessions, inspiration, teaching, and then it's followed immediately by afternoon community outreach.
So they go right out into their own neighborhoods.
Right into their communities, service projects, handing out food, starting those conversations.
And the metrics since they launched this global push in 2017 are pretty staggering.
They really are. The sources cite over 182,000 teens mobilized collectively.
Sparking more than 500,000 gospel conversations.
In at least 110 countries.
Wow.
Yeah. And to give you a recent example, the November 2025 event, themed Be Like Jesus, had something like 11,120 youth groups register, an estimated 80,000 plus teens.
And what's the feedback from leaders?
This is key. They report that this mobilization has a reciprocal effect. The act of sharing their faith actually accelerates the discipleship process for the Christian students themselves.
So the messenger benefits as much as the person they're talking to.
It drives them to pray more, to depend on spiritual resources. They just grow bolder and deeper in their own faith.
So let's look at where they are now. As D2S moves forward, what are the primary goals beyond 2025?
The movement is still very strong, based in Colorado, but really pushing its international reach. I mean, with over 1 million teenagers mobilized in the last 30-plus years.
Incredible.
The focus is now squarely on sustained implementation.
Which means supporting churches year-round, not just on that one big day in November.
Exactly, helping them maintain monthly outreach, the disciplined use of those cause circle prayer lists.
And continuing to build out the tech.
Right. Their forward-looking strategy is all about refining their infrastructure, improving the Life in 6 Words app, building more global partnerships to amplify their reach, and they're already planning for the 2026 Day of Global Youth Evangelism.
The whole movement really seems to capture this urgency that the founder felt.
It does.
That the world's youth are searching for purpose in the middle of all this anxiety and confusion. And this is a powerful counter-narrative where they find that purpose in leading.
That's why their phrase, mobilize and gospelize, is so fitting. It shows this incredibly focused strategy. By understanding the unique needs of mobilizing the largest generation in history, D2S proves that investing in youth is the most direct path to advancing their mission.
It really shows that the winds of change are often driven by the people we least expect.
The young people themselves.
So that brings us to the summary of our deep dives. We've really unpacked the 3 pillars of the Dare to Share movement.
First, the foundational mission, teenagers reaching their own peers.
Second, the structured, scalable method, that pray, pursue, persuade model.
And third, the global mobilization engine, the day of Global Youth Evangelism.
And if this framework is interesting to you, the sources suggest that immediate application is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, you can check out their resources, you can download the Life in 6 Words app, explore their online trainings, but the core action, really reflecting that PPP model, is simple.
What's that?
Just start with prayer for the teenagers in your life, and then dare to start a conversation.
And as we close this deep dive, here's a final provocative thought for you, and it comes directly from the data we've been looking at.
These young people are not just the church of tomorrow. They are the church of today. They are fully capable of leading transformative change right now.
So the question is, given the proof, the hundreds of thousands of conversations already started, what would it look like if we fully invested in the current capacity of the next generation to lead?
Instead of just waiting for them to inherit the mission later, this movement argues that the time to transform the world is now.
And the agents of that change are already mobilized.